What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Brown Gent. It's a late video tonight, but I wanted to cover the most recent win against the SEC and how we have seen Bitcoin have an incredible pump over the last probably like half a day. It's fantastic, and many of you are wondering, is this going to last, or can we expect this to sort of keep going? So that's sort of what I'm going to cover in this short video. But before we get into that, as always, remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Any idiot can start a YouTube channel. I'm just a guy who loves sharing his financial journey. If you like the content, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. So why we're here today? Well, this morning, if you were just sort of checking your portfolio like I was, you would have noticed that Bitcoin had a massive spike. In fact, at some points of the day, it went as high as 28,000 US dollars. Now, what happened really was there was an incredible win for Grayscale. Now, Grayscale is a sort of asset manager who tried to put together an ETF for Bitcoin. And it sort of got rejected by the SEC. And the court actually ruled that the SEC was wrong to reject their application to convert their flagship Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which was approved in 2015, and which held more than $15 billion into Bitcoin, into an ETF. The SEC has allowed Bitcoin futures ETFs since October 2021, but contended that spot funds were prone to manipulation since crypto tokens trade on largely unregulated markets. Basically, the judge said that it was arbitrary and capricious because the commission failed to explain its different treatment of similar products. Basically, they got called out for sort of having favor for certain organizations or asset managers versus others, right? This is where we see the SEC really they're investigating, like Gary Gensler is investigating Coinbase, but thinks FTX is fantastic. Oh, we got to let everything go. And we know what happened with Sam Bankman-Fried and that entire fiasco. So the SEC has 45 days to decide if they want to abide by the decision or appeal it. Now, either way, Grayscale has to file a new application for the ETF, and this is an incredible win. And judgingly so, the price of Bitcoin, as you can see right here on the screen, this big green candle today. This is the daily chart for Bitcoin, which since that big red knife from the SpaceX dump, the big red dump that came out as of the news of the SpaceX dump, we've seen Bitcoin really trade sort of sideways, and it had a huge jump, right? Went from 36,000 all the way at highs up to 38,000, retraced back. We're still in this liquidity zone, right? We're still touching the edge of it. And the question many of you have been asking, and I've gotten this DM on Twitter, is this going to continue? What can we expect? Now, I want you to know this before I start talking. I am long-term bullish on Bitcoin. I continue to buy Bitcoin week over week. I even show you in my channel portfolio, which we're starting with $1,000 at $1,200, and every 2 weeks we had $200. I've been buying Bitcoin there too, right? Obviously not a significant amount, but the idea here is I put my money where my mouth is, and that account is going to be very reflective of the allocations that I use in my real, much bigger portfolio, where I hold a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of Ethereum, making up around 80% of those portfolios. The rest being in smaller tokens, etc. Right? So here's what you got to hear, and this sucks to say, but I think that this is almost like a mini manipulation. I've been saying since we were at 30,000 that I think Bitcoin can go all the way down to around 24,000, maybe even 23,500. That's where this last liquidity zone is. And even though we're seeing this pump right now, I have a strong suspicion that we're going to come all the way back down here. And test this, get the liquidity, and then bounce up. So it's not to say that, hey, you should go out there and sell all your Bitcoin, because you know what? Long term, it shouldn't matter. Even short term, like it's just a sort of ins and outs. But I know a lot of people who watch my channel are traders. And if you're going to go and sort of go super long on Bitcoin right now, I don't think that's advisable. I think you're better off putting in a short if you're doing that, and wait to the 24,000 range to go long on Bitcoin, right? The time to go long on Bitcoin was before this pump. Now, the reality is when these news announcements come out, we typically see a massive jump in price, but then the reality sinks in, right? Nothing changes in the short term, right? Like it's still going to take a ton of time for the ETF to be set up. So what's going to happen is this excitement props the price. It allows a lot of people to sell at a higher price, brings the price back down. They buy at a cheaper price and then set it in motion. And if you don't believe me, take a look at XRP. XRP had a significant win against the SEC just back in July. When they were sitting at 47 cents, they jumped all the way up to 83 cents. You can see it right here on the screen, 83 cents. And ever since, they have dropped all the way back down, giving up pretty much all of those gains. As while this is a great win, what's the so what in the short term? There isn't any. And the reality is the same thing's going to happen here for Bitcoin. Like I said, this is positive news, but it's not ready yet. Remember, we are in the longest bear market for cryptocurrency. We're over 400 days. And hopefully, as we approach the halving event in April of 2024, we're going to start to see Bitcoin rally even more and be more sustainable. So while I say that I think Bitcoin is going down in the short term, I still think it's a really good idea. Knock on wood, and also, disclaimer, not financial advice, for you to stack Bitcoin in the short and the long term. If you want to wait until it goes to 24,000 or 23,500, so be it. Like I know a lot of people I've been talking to after I've told them this, or said, okay, well, I'm going to buy some here, but I'm going to hold a big sort of ammo or big sort of purchasing power, dry powder, to buy back down when we're in this zone, right? Now, one of the things I will say, and this is, we've been talking about this, the fear and greed index, right? When you take a look at crypto, it's funny because last week it was all about fear. And then even yesterday was fearful. But you get this incredible news from the SEC, the win against the SEC for Grayscale, and now we're at neutral. And as we get to neutral and greed, it is no longer a good time to buy. People become too bullish. People become too euphoric. And we'll see the needle sort of move that way if there are more compounding events. But the reality is, in the short term, we're not having an ETF tomorrow. We're not having an ETF next month. There's a lot of things that have to happen. Obviously good news, but because of that, we're going to see time-based capitulation. People will sort of sell out of Bitcoin as they get impatient. They don't want to be the ones to sort of be front running the price and paying more. And the other thing is, we're also going to see institutions get ready to load up as that liquidity zone gets taken out around 24,000. And the one last thing I do want to mention is today, because I mentioned this on another video, I've actually taken my profits from those 700 shares of Mara that I bought. So in the last couple of days, I had bought Mara at $10.90 a share, about 700 shares. And today, Mara is up around 29%. It was up around 30% at the highest point. This huge green candlestick. So I basically turned $7,600, which is like 700 shares at like almost $11, to $9,500, which was me selling 700 shares at 13.5. Yeah, I know the shares of Mara are like 13.6 or 13.7, 13.8 at the high point, but you can't really time these perfectly. So I was really happy with this. I made like $1,800 US today. And I'm telling you this because I believe when the Bitcoin price comes down to 24,000, we're going to see Mara retrace to $8 or $9, and I'm going to buy those shares back around that period of time. So that's my goal. I still hold 500 shares of Mara at a cost basis of $8.21 from the original 2,000 shares that I bought like a couple months ago. I think I told you I got stop lost out of 1,500 shares at $14. Didn't take as much profit as I could have there, but hey, look, you have to sort of play this game the best you can. I've made a ton of profit doing so, like 4,000 or 5,000 on that trade as well. Still holding on to my December 2025 leaps. So I'm not too worried about that, but just something to keep in mind, because remember, you can get tons of positive news. And when you hear tons of positive news, that's actually sort of not a good thing. Like, I like when the news is negative because people are selling, you're able to stack more. And then once you get like all these things line up and we actually see products coming out like these ETFs, all of those kind of solutions, the halving event, we're going to see like gasoline being put on the fire and it will just explode. There will be a point in time where we will get another bull market for crypto. And that point, you're going to look back and go, hey, how much Bitcoin do I have? And all of your friends, all the people you know, the ones who've been telling you Bitcoin's stupid, it's a scam, it's garbage, oh my God, it's over. Why would you buy Bitcoin when you can buy gold, right? They say stupid things like that. They're going to be the ones calling you lucky, despite having to withstand 400 plus days in a bear market where we have been performing under the last cycle. So just something to keep in mind. And anyways, that's all I have for this video. I want to thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, share the video, follow me on all tech. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.